You've been knocked down before, hard. Maybe by failure, rejection, or pain that made you question everything. But remember this, the world doesn't remember how many times you fell, only how many times you got back up. Life isn't about staying unbroken. It's about rising stronger every time the ground hits harder. Every scar, every stumble, every setback is proof that you're still fighting. This is the spirit of resilience, the fire that refuses to die, no matter how many storms it faces. When life throws you to the ground, it's easy to believe that failure is the end of the road. You feel the weight of disappointment pressing down, whispering that you weren't good enough, strong enough, or smart enough to make it work. But that voice, the one that tells you to quit, is lying. Failure isn't the end. It's the starting line of something greater. Every person who has achieved something extraordinary has first stood in the ruins of what didn't work. The fall itself doesn't define you. Your response to it does. Think about it. When you fall, you're not just facing defeat. You're standing at the doorway of transformation. The pain, the embarrassment, the uncertainty, those aren't signs to stop. They're signals that growth is happening. Each failure cracks open the hard shell of comfort and exposes you to truth. The truth about your limits, your fears, and your potential. That's where strength is born. No one becomes unshakable by walking on smooth paths. The road to resilience is paved with broken moments, and each stumble gives you the tools you'll need for the climb ahead. Failure is a teacher. Not a kind one, but the most honest one you'll ever meet. It strips away illusion and ego. It humbles you, but it also rebuilds you, piece by piece, into something far stronger. When you fall, you get a chance to see what truly matters. Was it pride that drove you? Was it purpose? Did you fall because you took a risk or because you held back? Every fall answers these questions. It reveals not just your weaknesses, but also your untapped strength. There's something powerful that happens when you get back up after failing. You begin to understand that your worth isn't tied to outcomes. You start to see that falling doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. And standing again makes you unstoppable. The ones who rise from failure learn to trust the process of becoming. They stop seeing mistakes as disasters and start seeing them as directions, guiding them toward a version of themselves that's more focused, wiser, and battle-tested. The truth is, the fear of failure destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Too many people stop trying because they believe that falling means they're not meant to rise. But falling means you tried, and trying means you're alive, moving, evolving. The fall is proof of your courage. It's proof that you dared to step out of the comfort zone where most people hide their entire lives. You can't grow without friction, and you can't win without the risk of loss. The only real failure is refusing to try again. Every time you rise, you rewrite your story. You turn your losses into lessons and your wounds into wisdom. That's the quiet power of resilience. It transforms pain into strength and setbacks into stepping stones. You start to understand that failure doesn't hold you back. It pushes you forward if you let it. Each time you fall, you shed the parts of yourself that can't handle the weight of your destiny. Each time you rise, you grow into the person you were meant to be. So the next time you fall, don't curse the ground. Look around. You're being given another chance to rebuild, smarter, stronger, and braver than before. The fall isn't your enemy, it's your initiation. You're being tested to see how badly you want what you're fighting for. And when you rise again, you'll know one thing for sure. Failure didn't stop you, it shaped you. It prepared you for the moment you'd stand tall again, with the strength of someone who's been to the ground and still chose to rise. Pain. It's the one thing we all try to avoid, yet it's the one force that shapes us more than anything else. No one wants to feel it, but those who learn to face it head on become something different. Something unstoppable. Pain is the furnace where strength is forged. It doesn't just test you, it transforms you. Every hardship, every scar, every sleepless night builds a foundation of grit that comfort could never create. Comfort makes you soft, pain makes you sharp. And while comfort whispers, stay where you are, pain shouts, you can be more. When everything hurts, your body, your mind, your spirit, that's when your true character begins to emerge. You find out who you are when there's nothing left to rely on but willpower. Pain strips away excuses. It exposes the truth about your commitment. Anyone can smile when the path is smooth, But when your muscles burn, your hope fades, and your hands bleed from the climb, that's when your inner warrior either rises or breaks. And that moment of breaking is powerful because even in your lowest pain, there's a choice. Stay down or fight through. That choice defines you. Pain doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to train you. It pushes you to discover strength you never knew existed. It's like the mountain testing the climber, not out of cruelty, but to see if the climber truly deserves the summit. Every hardship you endure is shaping you into the kind of person who can carry heavier loads, take bigger risks, and stand unshaken when the next storm comes. Without pain, you'd never develop the resilience to handle what you're destined for. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who avoid pain, they're the ones who walk straight through it and come out stronger. Every scar tells a story. Each one says, I survived something that tried to break me. Pain leaves marks, yes, but it also leaves wisdom. It teaches patience when you want to rush, humility when you think you've won, and faith when all you see is darkness. It reminds you that nothing worth having comes without struggle. When life knocks you to your knees, pain whispers, this is where strength is built. You might not see it while you're in it, but one day you'll look back and realize that the very thing that hurt you the most is what shaped your courage the deepest. It's in the middle of pain that transformation happens. When you face loss, heartbreak, or failure, something shifts inside you. You stop seeking the easy path. You start craving purpose. Pain burns away all the distractions until only what truly matters remains. It gives you clarity. It reawakens hunger. It reminds you that life isn't meant to be easy. It's meant to be meaningful. And meaning is born through struggle. So the next time pain knocks at your door, don't run. Open it. Face it. Let it teach you. Let it harden your spirit and sharpen your focus. Pain is not your enemy. It's your ally. It's the proof that you're still fighting, still alive, still pushing forward when others would have quit. Every ache, every tear, every ounce of exhaustion is a sign that you're growing stronger than you were yesterday. One day when the battle is over, you'll look back and realize something incredible. The pain that once made you cry is the same pain that made you fearless. The suffering that made you doubt yourself is the same suffering that taught you endurance. The nights you thought you couldn't survive became the foundation of your strength. You'll see that pain never defeated you. It built you. It forged the warrior within, the one who refuses to surrender, no matter how hard the road becomes. Courage is often misunderstood. People think it's about fearlessness, standing tall with no trace of doubt or hesitation. But real courage doesn't look like that. Real courage shows up when your hands tremble, your heart races, and everything inside you screams to quit, yet you take another step anyway. It's not about the absence of fear, it's about moving forward in spite of it. The strongest people aren't those who never break. They're the ones who've been broken but refuse to stay shattered. There comes a point when everything inside you feels exhausted. Your mind says it's impossible, your body aches, and your spirit feels empty. That's the moment that defines you. Because courage isn't born when the sun is shining. It's born in darkness. When hope seems lost and pain feels endless. It's in those moments that you must reach deep inside, past the doubt, past the fear, and find that last spark of strength that whispers, try again. That whisper, quiet but unyielding, is the voice of courage. Getting up when it hurts is an act of rebellion. It's defiance against defeat. When life hits you, it wants to keep you down. But every time you rise, you're declaring to the world that pain may touch you, but it will never own you. That's what true courage is. Standing up when it would be easier to stay down. It's saying, I may be bleeding, I may be tired, but I am not done yet. That kind of spirit scares fear itself because fear can't control a heart that refuses to quit. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's just a quiet step forward when no one's watching. It's showing up one more day after countless failures. It's facing rejection, disappointment, and loss, yet still believing there's a reason to keep going. You won't always feel brave, but bravery isn't a feeling, it's a decision. A decision to rise even when there's no guarantee of victory. A decision to face the storm rather than wait for it to pass. Every time you make that decision, you grow stronger. Every time you take that one painful step forward, you prove that you are greater than your circumstances. The truth is, Courage hurts. It demands sacrifice. It requires you to keep walking when your heart says stop. But through that pain, something changes. You start to realize that fear loses power. The more you face it, what once terrified you becomes familiar, manageable, even motivating. Courage transforms fear into fuel. It turns I can't into I will. And with each act of bravery, no matter how small, you're rewriting your story from one of struggle to one of triumph. You'll never forget the moments when you stood up while everything in you wanted to give up. Those moments become your foundation. They remind you that you are capable of surviving the impossible. Courage doesn't come from winning. It comes from enduring. It's born in the moments when quitting would have been easier, but you didn't. And every time you rise, every time you push through the pain, you reinforce the truth that you are not a victim of your past. You are a fighter, a survivor, and a builder of your future. So when life tests you again, and it will, remember this: courage doesn't always feel strong. Sometimes it feels like barely hanging on. But even then, you are moving forward, you are growing, and one day, you'll look back and realize that every moment you stood up when it hurt became the proof of your strength, the evidence of your will, and the foundation of your unbreakable spirit. That's courage. Not perfection, not fearlessness, but the relentless decision to rise again, no matter how hard you've been hit. There's a saying that goes, fall 7 times, stand up 8. At first it sounds simple, but it's one of the deepest truths about human resilience. You see, the first 7 falls are not what define you. They test you, bruise you, and sometimes even break you. But that 8th rise, that one more time when you choose to stand, even after you've lost everything, that's where your spirit reveals its true power. The last rise is never just about recovery. It's about transformation. It's about becoming someone who refuses to be defined by defeat. Every fall carries pain. Pain of loss, rejection, exhaustion, and self-doubt. Each time you hit the ground, it feels heavier than before. The voices in your head grow louder, whispering that you're done, that you've given enough, that maybe it's time to stop trying. But that's when it matters most, the moment you're on the edge of surrender, because greatness doesn't happen when you keep winning. It happens when you refuse to stay down after losing. The difference between those who rise and those who quit isn't luck or talent. It's the decision to rise one more time. The 8th rise is more than persistence, it's purpose. It's when you realize that your fight isn't just about achieving a goal, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about showing that no amount of failure can destroy a heart that's still beating for its dream. When you rise after being broken, you stop chasing validation from the world. You no longer fight to impress others, you fight because the fire inside you refuses to go out. That kind of strength can't be taught, and it can't be faked. It's earned in the dirt, in the struggle, in the silence, where no one sees your pain but you. The truth is, every comeback is born from a moment of decision. A moment when you could stay down, but you don't. And the power of that decision echoes far beyond that single instant. It builds momentum. It builds identity. Each rise makes you harder to break. Each time you stand again, you remind life that it can hurt you, but it can't end you. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and become the author of your story. You become proof that falling is not failure, staying down is. What most people don't realize is that the last rise, that 8th one, is often the hardest. Because by then you've faced disappointment after disappointment. You've seen doors close, trust break, dreams collapse. You've been through so much that your heart carries the weight of every past fall. But if you can rise after all that, you become unstoppable. You're no longer the same person who first fell. You've become someone forged by pain and refined by perseverance. That's what makes the final rise so powerful. It's not about getting back to where you were. It's about stepping into who you were meant to be. The 8th rise is your declaration to the world that nothing, not failure, not fear, not exhaustion, has the power to define your limits. It's a statement of defiance against every force that tried to keep you down. It says, I am still here, I am still fighting, I am not finished. Because the truth is, resilience isn't built by how many times you fall. It's built by how many times you choose to rise when no one expects you to. So when you're lying on the ground, when everything inside you says it's over, remember this: the story isn't over until you rise again. The 8th rise might not look perfect. It might come with tears, with pain, with shaking hands, but it will be the most powerful moment of your life, because that's when you'll realize that the world can knock you down 1,000 times, but it will never defeat the spirit that keeps standing back up. Life rarely goes according to plan. You can map out your dreams, set your goals, and think you have everything figured out, but sooner or later life changes the rules. The mountain you were climbing suddenly shifts. The weather turns. The path you trusted disappears beneath your feet. And in that moment you have a choice: break under the pressure or adapt and rise stronger. Because survival isn't about perfection, it's about flexibility. The one who adapts endures. The one who endures wins. Adaptation is the secret weapon of the strong. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to move with the storm instead of fighting against it. Too many people waste their strength trying to control what can't be controlled. The failures, the betrayals, the unexpected twists of fate. But the truth is, the most powerful people don't resist change. They learn from it. They understand that life isn't meant to be predictable. It's meant to test your ability to evolve. Every setback, every change, every unexpected turn is life asking you, can you adjust? Can you still move forward when the path disappears? When you adapt, you discover that strength isn't about standing tall in perfect conditions. It's about staying rooted when the winds of life blow hardest. It's knowing that you can change your strategy without changing your goal. You may not control the storm, but you can learn to navigate through it. You may not choose your circumstances, but you can choose your response. And that's where real power lives, not in stubbornness, but in awareness, not in resistance, but in resilience. Adaptation doesn't mean giving up. It means growing wiser. It means understanding that sometimes you need to take a different road to reach the same destination. The climb might look different, but the summit is still there. You might have to move slower, take a detour, or rebuild from scratch, but if you stay flexible, you'll always find a way. Change doesn't destroy the strong, it shapes them. It teaches them to stay alert, to stay hungry, to stay ready. When you refuse to adapt, you become rigid, and anything rigid eventually breaks. But when you flow with the challenges life throws your way, you become unstoppable. The most resilient souls are those who face chaos and learn to dance with it instead of fighting it. They don't panic when the plan collapses, they rebuild. They don't curse the storm, they learn to move with it. They know that progress isn't always a straight line. Sometimes it's a winding trail through uncertainty, fear, and doubt. But every twist and turn teaches you something valuable about yourself. Adaptation is also about humility. It takes humility to admit that your plan isn't working and courage to change direction. Many people get trapped because they hold on to their old ways, their old mindset, their old habits, even when life has clearly outgrown them. But to move forward, you must evolve. You must be willing to unlearn what no longer serves you and step into the unknown. That's what separates survivors from those who crumble. Every great story of perseverance is really a story of adaptation. It's about those who faced failure and learned, who faced rejection and adjusted, who faced change and grew. They didn't survive because life was easy. They survived because they refused to let life's chaos dictate their limits. They understood that when one door closes, another isn't always open. Sometimes you have to build it yourself. So when the world changes around you, when the plan falls apart, when the people you counted on walk away, when everything familiar turns uncertain, don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning of something new. Adapt. Adjust your grip. Shift your stance. Keep moving. Because the ones who adapt don't just survive the storm, they rise from it. Stronger, smarter, and more unbreakable than ever before. There will come a time when life hits you so hard that you start to question everything, your strength, your purpose, even your reason to keep going. You'll feel cracked, bruised, and maybe even broken. But here's the truth, no matter how deep the wound, your spirit is unbreakable. You might bend, you might stumble, you might scream into the darkness, but as long as you choose to rise, nothing in this world can destroy you. Because your power doesn't come from what happens to you, it comes from what you decide to do next. Being unbreakable doesn't mean being untouched by pain. It means you face pain, looked it in the eye, and refused to let it define you. Every time you've been betrayed, abandoned, or underestimated, and still found the strength to keep moving, that's your spirit speaking. That's the voice inside that says, you can take everything from me, but you can't take me. That inner fire doesn't fade just because the world turns cold. It's the part of you that keeps burning even when everything else has turned to ash. The truth is, everyone faces moments of collapse. Moments where your plans fail, your faith shakes, and your heart feels like it's breaking under the weight of it all. In those moments, most people give up. They let the world convince them that their strength has limits. But the ones who endure, the ones who rise, are the ones who understand that breaking is a choice. You can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to let the pain bury you or to let it build you. Your spirit is like steel. It's forged through heat and pressure. Every trial you face is shaping you, hardening you, strengthening you. You don't realize it while you're in the storm, but each time you push through, you're becoming unshakable. You're learning that endurance isn't about avoiding pain. It's about outlasting it. And when you finally step out of that fire, you're not the same person who walked in. You're stronger, wiser, and more fearless than before. The unbreakable spirit isn't loud or boastful. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It simply keeps going quietly, steadily, relentlessly. It shows up even when everything hurts. It keeps believing when the odds say no. It keeps fighting when no one is watching. That's what makes it unstoppable. The world can take everything from you, your possessions, your success, even your comfort. But it can never take the will that lives inside you. That's yours, and it's eternal. Sometimes, being unbreakable means holding on when your heart feels shattered. It means finding strength in the smallest flicker of hope, in the faintest whisper of faith. It's about choosing to rise again, not because it's easy, but because your soul refuses to surrender. You learn that resilience isn't built in victory, it's built in survival. Every night you make it through, every tear you wipe away, every time you stand up when no one believes in you, you're proving that your spirit cannot be destroyed. And one day, when you look back at all the battles you've fought, you'll realize something extraordinary, that every struggle, every heartbreak, every fall was actually shaping you into someone indestructible. The pain didn't break you, it revealed you. It uncovered the strength that was always there, waiting to be tested. That's the beauty of the unbreakable spirit. It doesn't just survive the storm, it becomes the storm. So when life comes for you with all its weight, stand tall. Don't run, don't hide, let it come, and when it passes, still be standing. You are not fragile. You are not defeated. You are a force of endurance, a living reminder that the human spirit can rise from anything. You may bend, you may bleed, but you will never break, because the fire inside you burns far brighter than the darkness around you. You